How much more foolish can you feel at this point? Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and you know what? This topic I could not let go. I really could not let go. I know I'm going to get comments like, I thought you were moving on from the riot share thing, and we are. Keep an eye out on future days for other topics, but here's the thing. Every year that I have done this, almost every year I should say, there have been a rate cut. One year there were no rate cuts for drivers because we thought that they hit rock bottom. They could not ask for more. But Uber and Lyft, those sneaky little SOBs, they keep finding ways to take more and more of the driver's money. Now, maybe if this was just another rate cut, I probably wouldn't have made a video about this. But here's the thing. This is the first rate cut that we have got since the passing of Proposition 22. Proposition 22, as a lot of you idiots out there thought Prop 22 was actually going to help you because you would get benefits and you would be able to keep your, multiplier and, hey, you can stay independent. And instead, Prop 22 has made it so that, well, first of all, industries that shouldn't be dealing with, your poverty level wages are now getting fired and they have to now deal with it. But this law has actually just made it easier for Uber and Lyft to cut your rates more and do it in a very, very sneaky way, because Lyft, and this is like probably the most insidious rate cut of them all, and make no mistake, this is a rate cut, is actually having this new priority mode. Now, what's a priority mode? Well, a priority mode is that you will get more rides as a Lyft driver, so long as you're willing to give up some extra money. Yeah, not even kidding. Let's look at this article from Jalopnik. And Jalopnik, this is Elizabeth Blackstock, writes, rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft have made some not-so-savory names for themselves over the years, and Lyft has introduced a new feature that seems directly aimed at shooting its own reputation in the foot. And what she's, of course, referring to is the fact that Lyft was the driver-friendly company. Early on, when people said, oh, what do you prefer, Uber or Lyft? Almost everyone said Lyft. Lyft had the destination filter, Lyft had the tipping, Lyft had all these features that Uber didn't do, and then as time went on, they just decided to do the same thing Uber was doing, and as a result, Lyft isn't no longer the driver-friendly one. In fact, the fact that they are now introducing this means that maybe in a strange way, Uber is more driver-friendly. And that new feature is called Priority Mode. In essence, Lyft drivers who opt into priority mode will be given priority in being sent potential rides, but doing so also forces the driver to agree to a 10% pay cut. But the big issue here is the fact that drivers who don't opt into priority mode seem to get almost nothing. Here's a little expert from CNET regarding a Toronto-based driver named Erla Phillips. And she said, I knew that this was just another way for the company to take more money from the drivers. The first week, I didn't even bother turning it on. Despite her skepticism, Phillips finally caved and gave priority mode a try. She got a few rides, used up her hours, and didn't notice much of a difference. What was notable, however, was that when she turned priority mode off, she said she barely got any rides. Now the article continues, Lyft introduced priority mode as a way, it claimed, for drivers to optimize their time on the road. The COVID-19 pandemic has hit rideshare companies hard, and it makes sense that drivers want to make the most of their time behind the wheel. The company launched priority mode in a few cities, Austin, Miami, and Toronto, as a way to preview the technology. And here's essentially what Lyft is doing. They are taking advantage of a bad situation. Granted, COVID-19 has already wiped out most of the demand for rideshare. But hey, vaccinations are on the way. Things are going to turn around a little bit. And Lyft, more than Uber, has been hurt by this because Uber had Uber Eats to fall back on. Lyft does not have that. Lyft has basically just been bleeding money since this started, and they want to make it back. So what they're doing, here's the thing. If they're hurting, they know the drivers are hurting because the drivers have not had much business. But hey, business is going to pick up soon. But there's so little of it right now. So Uber is actually doing a mafia style, I'm going to make them an offer you can't refuse type of situation. One in which They go to the drivers and it's like, hey, look, you want drivers, you need to feed your family. Tell you what, we're in business, you do me a favor, I do you a favor. You give me 10% of your cut, and I'll make sure you get more rides. More rides will be coming. That will not be an issue. People who don't pay, they won't get those rides. You'll get those rides. Just give me my take of the cut, which of course is ridiculous because Lyft is already taking up to 60% off each ride. Now they want an additional 10%. When does it end? When does it end? Now, of course, in all fairness, some of you might be coming here and saying like, well, I see Austin, Miami, and Toronto. They don't have Prop 22. Why do you bring up Prop 22? Oh, because if they can do this in the areas where they don't have a Prop 22, imagine how bad California is going to be. Let's continuing. Priority mode isn't available all the time. If you opt in, you'll be given certain times per week where you'll be given priority. $5. Those priority times are during airport runs, weekend events, basically prime time hours. In fact, they will probably be during times when there's surge. I almost guarantee you the vast majority of the people who opt into this will be getting rides during surge time or prime time, because I think it's called prime time on Lyft. And therefore, Lyft then gets to keep more of the surge. See how they're working it out? Anyway, if you're given the option, you can opt into priority mode and have ride requests funneled to you. It's supposed to reduce wait time between rides, and it's also supposed to help driver make back the money they would lose by forfeiting 10% of their income during priority hours. More rides equals more money. Yeah, that's kind of the thing that Uber and Lyft kind of go on. You know, they cut the rates, and they always say, hey, we're cutting the rates, but you'll get more rides, therefore you will make more money. And yet it never seems to work out that way. Drivers seem to just make less and less. It doesn't take much digging to find that Lyft drivers hate this feature. One Redditor made a post titled, I did priority mode this week, which turned out to be garbage. Took twice as many rides and double the hours to get the rental cost covered. Now I'm sitting here in a busy area and can't get a ride. Funny how as soon as I get the car paid off, I can't get a ride on a Saturday. Well, you shouldn't have bought a car for this. In comment, another user noted something similar. I am also a driver in Austin, and on Thursday night I hit priority mode, and although my luck was a little better, I had the same luck with that indicator busy here and those demand going up icons. Chasing them did not lead to any rides. In fact, one was down a blocked to through traffic street, and there wasn't any way to get to it, and then it disappeared. OP, it's like we're rats in a maze to Lyft. Lyft tries different things with their app just to grab our attention and keep us online. I wouldn't be shocked if there are some really nifty machine learning algorithms running that are learning what works to get each of us to stay online longer, and of course, what makes them the most money. It makes sense. If there are a bunch of drivers scheduled for a priority period, they get first dibs on ride, which leaves the other drivers scrambling for scraps. One Redditor said, they try and gaslight you into thinking it's a positive thing with the whole more work means more overall profit, but of course it does so at the cost of the other drivers and even harms riders to who may have to wait longer for a driver in priority mode to get to them. Adding insult to injury is the fact that Lyft has been reducing the amount of money a driver can make per ride. Other threads on Reddit have been posted by drivers working countless hours and still struggling to make a minimum wage. Now they're being asked to give up more money just to have a shot at getting rides. The priority program works because the labor supply is indefinite, JJ Fuser, a researcher with RideFair, a Toronto coalition working to regulate rideshare hailing, said. It wouldn't work if people weren't desperate for income right now. It's a race to the bottom, and I totally agree with that assessment. And here's the thing. This is why I don't fight for drivers anymore. This is why I don't fight for drivers anymore. This is why I call them fools. It's why I call them idiots. It's why I call what they do with Prop 22 stupid, because this is the future of Uber and Lyft. Guys, I've not been driving for a long time, and I make no qualms about that. Some people say that means my voice does not have the integrity of someone who does drive. You know what? Feel that if you want, but here's the thing. I did the math years ago. I got a calculator out and a spreadsheet. I did the math. I showed you how it worked out. And I said, this is what we're going to be making after the next pay cuts, and this is probably not going to be the last one. They are going to do this again and again. They've been doing it for 3 years in a row now, and I can't do it anymore. This is eventually going to cost me more to do than it is worth doing. And they just find new insidious ways to make that a reality. Yes, a few people make money doing this. Very, very few people. I've even had one person whose blog I read, he says, I made more money doing Uber and Lyft than I did in any of my jobs. And this guy was in the military, which I don't know what that says. My dad was in the military and actually made a pretty nice career out of it. But in terms of retail and stuff, I don't know. Maybe it makes you more than McDonald's or Burger King, but then the cost of the car and everything, I don't know. But then you get to these things. It's like now they've literally turned it into a race to the bottom. Like, hey, you want rides? You're going to willingly give up more money. And right now it's 10%. But what is it going to be next year? Maybe if you say, hey, I'm willing to give up 40% of my ride, and then you will get all of the best rides. You will get the surge rides. You will get, whatever's closest to you. You will get a lot of rides under that circumstance. But the thing is, you're not going to be making more money. In fact, Lyft's going to be keeping more of the money. And Lyft is going to turn down the rides for the people who are either giving up less of their money or people who aren't taking any at all. And keep in mind, this isn't like just the flat 10% they're asking. This is 10% on top of the 20 to 60% that they are already taking. When's it going to be low enough? When's it be low enough? I saw that, I don't know if you ever watched Breaking Bad. Most of you probably have. Remember that very famous scene where the wife of Walter White goes into the storage room and shows like that big pile of money, and he's just flabbergasted at how much money he's seeing, and he's like, how much is that? And she's like, I don't know, I can't keep track of it anymore. How high does this stack need to get, though, for you to stop what you're doing, for you to get out of this business? But this is the exact opposite. I mean, one of these days we need a Breaking Bad situation where drivers are taken into a room and they're shown like a chart that shows how much money they were making 3 years ago compared to now, and how much money Lyft is taking compared to what they're getting. And you have to ask them, how low does this paycheck need to be before it's enough? Like, how much does Lyft have to take from you before you realize, hey, working at Walmart's better. I'll get benefits at Walmart if I can get full time. I know that's probably not going to happen, but you know what I'm saying. This is not feasible. It's not tenable. And the thing is, it's just going to get worse. None of these are in California. I hate to see what the California one looks like, because when this comes to California, people will hate it, but we just nuked the driver's ability to negotiate anything. And things like this are why the gig companies want to bring Prop 22 to all the other states. This is exploitation. I'm going to say this one thing that I've never actually used before. It is slave wages. And you know what? You people need to just stop. I mean, just get out of it. I mean, even if you're doing well, I'm sorry, I don't believe you. This is just too crazy right now. Like, I mean, even if like a ride, like, oh, this 15-minute ride paid me $10, great. Well, now it's going to pay you $8.50. And hey, in some states that might still be minimum wage. But what happens if you start getting all these prioritized rides and they're paying $5 a piece? You're going to be getting 4, and you would normally get $3.50 for that ride. You're going to give Lyft an additional 35 cents just for the privilege of getting that ride? I mean, you know what this reminds me most of? This reminds me most of like the darkest period of eBay, when eBay was just so successful and people were just so desperate to make money on eBay that they just tacked on fee after fee after fee. It was only until like Amazon came along and became like a huge competitor where eBay realized they couldn't just nickel and dime everyone very more. But in America, we have a duopoly. Uber and Lyft basically have a gentleman's agreement. Don't screw with the other company. Hey, if you just stay out of our lane, we'll stay out of your lane, and then guess what? We're just going to nickel and dime people. The only thing we have to worry about is if some Tesla creates like a rideshare service. Then we have something to be concerned about. But hey, here's the thing. I'm going to end that here. What do all of you think? Are you going to do this priority mode? Have you done this priority mode? And what do you think about it? I would love to know. Dear God, I would really like to know how that worked out for you. So you know the drill. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.